So, this next session, our faculty is Vishal Patel. You've seen him roaming around the room. Let me tell you a bit about Vishal. Vishal is Duke CE's Global Managing Director, and he's also head of our strategic partnerships. When he's not doing things like this, he's on an airplane. So I don't think he actually has a home, unless it's at 40,000 feet. But his background is extraordinary. And honestly, one of the things that's fun about what we get to do at Duke CE is we get to work with exceptional people. And Vishal is very much an exceptional colleague. His background. Got his MBA from the Fuqua School of Business, but he has a deep and passionate interest as well in social justice, social causes. Spent time early in his career with an organization called Teach for America, which in effect goes into challenged and underserved districts in the United States, school districts, and works with those kids. It's like the Peace Corps for education. His appetite for those kinds of adventures grew, because part of it is around how do you take that equation about doing good for society and transform it into doing good for leaders and helping them do good for society. And that vision has helped create what has led to the things he does now in support of the kinds of activities we're trying to do with you. He's a passionate advocate of leadership development, keen insight on politics, has a broad point of view about the world, having worked for Duke CE in South Africa. He opened our South Africa business, grew that business. He took over business development for us worldwide, now has the global managing director role as well, and just simply has a provocative point of view that I think you're going to find stimulating. But I think the thing that's most interesting to me about Vishal is he's got an incredible eye, and I really mean this. He is an amazing photographer. So maybe at a break, ask him to show you some of his photographs. They're literally stunning. We were looking at some last night at dinner, and from his adventures in Africa to his adventures in the Middle East to his adventures here, you name it. Just this eye for capturing insights. And I think it very much rivals, I'll put you on a pedestal, I think it rivals what we saw with the National Geographic photographer yesterday. It's really great stuff. Please join me in welcoming Vishal.
On stage, and Vishal.
Hello. There is an irony whenever John talks about me in photography, because I'm almost legally blind with my glasses, so I actually almost can't drive. So it's a good thing. That's why I never drive in India. Well, it's hard for American-born desis like me to drive in general in India, but especially with my glasses. So thank you, John. We're going to do something a little bit different. John and I are working on a piece of research, and we want to share it with you. And there are two other people that are working on this research with us. Our former CEO, a gentleman named Mike Canning, and the head of our design labs, Tony O'Driscoll. And we have the opportunity, so we've worked with roughly 250,000 people in the course of our history. We have worked in 80 countries, roughly around the world. And we have this really unique insight into what organizations are going through, what challenges they're facing every single day. So as Manju, I know there was lots of words up there, lots of statistics, but one of the things that she, I think, highlighted was what leaders really need to do well. So there's a piece of work that John and I have had a chance to interview about 14 CEOs just in Asia, We're going to do about 50 in Asia, Middle East, and Africa, talking through what are they struggling with in their business. And we've actually tested these questions with CEOs like Cynthia, Vanita, others that are there, to make sure that we're asking the right question that really affects your business right now. So what we saw was at the bottom, and Bill talked about this a little bit yesterday, the reason for existing, and these do not change in terms of, it starts with purpose, values, vision, and mission. So someone asked the question, how do you create strategy? And then someone asked the question over here around how do we talk about vision? And Cynthia did a great job discussing her process of looking at the market opportunity and working backwards. Raise your hand if you are a promoter. I know where you are, so. Promoters, yeah? There's one, two, Vanita G, right? Vada G, right? This is their job, right? This is their job. When it comes to talking about what makes you special as JK organization, why you've been in existence for 125 years, if there was a change in terms of values that you wanted to add something in, that is not a decision that lower down in the organization people need to be making. It is solely the shareholders' decision. Make sense? The underlying barrier there is then corporate governance. This allows the translation to happen. What we then saw is 7 unique trade-offs. These are the trade-offs that John and I were in Petronas Towers on, what was it, like the 108th floor?
Yeah, too high.
Too high. John gets vertigo. So it was kind of fun seeing him get woozy. And we're sitting there talking to the CEO of Petronas, and he mentioned this idea of decision velocity. Really good way of putting it. I know there was a gentleman from the university yesterday talking about acceleration and so forth. But for decision velocity, it's really simple. Raise your hand if you are making decisions right now that you should not be making because they could be resolved lower down in the organization. Raise your hand. You can put it up high. I seriously doubt there's only about 12 people that are there. Yeah? I know we always fall into this spot, right? It's okay. Every single organization and by the way, thank you for raising your hand, because I know the case is that there's a lot more decisions that could be made lower down the organization. 100% of organizations, when we do our diagnostic interviews with the board of directors, with the C-suite, say that decision velocity is an issue. There is stuff that comes up to my plate that I should not be resolving at all. It's either because I don't have the bench strength, I may not have, there's a question around infrastructure, I may not have the systems and processes, so things are not filtered fast enough in the organization. So decision velocity is, how do you make decisions much lower down the organization? At some point, you can probably get 25, 30%, in some cases 70% from what we've seen in our Indian organizations, if you actually right-sized your decision-making process.
Vishal, I have an example.
Please.
So a few years ago, a very large insurance that fulfills auto claims. So when a person in their car gets in an accident and they file a claim, and that claim has to be reviewed before payment is determined, the process from making that claim to determining whether or not the person actually gets the money from insurance from this one company took anywhere from 30 to 60 days. It was a very long time. And you can imagine the inconvenience of the consumer who's waiting for a decision when they need an automobile that's working properly much faster than that. But they can't pay for it until they know the insurance decision. That 30 to 60 days became problematic. They were beginning to lose share. And they looked at it. They decided to break down this decision-making process. And they realized that it was encumbered by a series of steps, 167 steps inside the organization, where a claim would get filed and it would go to you, and you'd sign it and it would go to you, and you'd sign it and it would go to you, and so on. Because everybody had to have their role in saying, I've at least touched this piece of paper. When they got rid of all those steps and they realized that the actual amount of time invested to make the decision amounted to 20 minutes, over that 167 different touches, they could then reduce it from 60 days decision to same-day decision. And they realized that it was simple. That first person is the person to make the decision. They pushed it down. Anyway.
The second one that John and I have been seeing over and over and over, as well as Tony, is you have to work across boundaries faster and more of them. Most people assume when we say boundaries, they're only internal boundaries, which is true. But the question around NGOs, I believe it was the second or the first of the three-part question. I am a bit cheeky. External stakeholders is becoming so much more important. So in terms of regulation, in terms of who are your customers, how are you making sure that you're almost co-located in that process? So if it is Fenner, what does it look like to not just think about actually selling on the distribution side? Who else should you be having in that conversation? And then how are you capturing that data and bringing it back in? The third one, and we're going to play around, John and I are about to do a simulation around this one. We have unique problems that, frankly, we need to solve faster, and we need new tools. So the days of command and control leadership are over. All the research tells you that it is, because fundamentally, command and control, even militaries have moved away from it. Command and control assumes a very static system, and assumes a system, even as Cynthia was talking about it now, John,
right,
where you can make all the analysis and you just keep going and you keep grinding. But we need new ways to think about this. So agile is one, design thinking is another one, and we're going to play around with that one. So we're not going to go much into that one. Fourth one, if you don't take away anything else from me in this next 5 to 10 minutes, this is the most important takeaway. You must simultaneously protect the core and constantly transform. Cynthia had a really good way of putting it. Leaders, their job is to constantly transform the business, evolve the business, and by the way, you're never finished. If you're not comfortable in that role, probably not a leader. That is what we must always do. Manju and Vanita did a really good job talking about this yesterday, where she said, you must always grow your core business because that generates the cash that allows you to make strategic options elsewhere. Cynthia talked about how you must always have your scenarios, but I don't know if people caught this, but she also said they invested in options. Optionality is how people win. If you think you're going to have this massive catch-up when you've never invested in an option, it's not going to happen.
Vishal, one comment on there?
Please.
Quick one. So Bill Boulding referred to this a bit yesterday, and he also talked about it at a dinner we had had the previous night. Very quick example, General Motors, an example of an organization that obviously is big and sells a lot of cars worldwide. That's their core business. At the same time, they are also going on a new path. That new path is to be much more of a Silicon Valley firm. That's basically a two-speed operation. Core business, future business, both happening simultaneously. It's not a choice, it's not an or, it's an and. They are doing both.
Strategy development faster and more iterative. If you take a strategy document, remember, some of you remember those days where you can put a strategy document together and it was like a big tome, and it would be like, this is our 5-year, 10-year strategy, and we're just going to execute against it, and we're never going to change it. This is just and they would call wonderful terms like, this is imbibed with our true north, and this is the way to do it. Those days are gone. Those days are gone. You have the advantage of being in a promoter organization where you still have the tyranny of the quarter forecast, but not nearly as bad as publicly owned companies. So strategy, what we're seeing is people are iterating this 2 to 3 times a year on average. So, and I'm not talking about startups, I'm talking about manufacturing companies like Anheuser-Busch InBev, the largest beer company in the world, just completed their SAB acquisition for, what is it, $120 billion US dollars. They are iterating twice a year, and they would like to do it every quarter. They have guiding principles, but the rest of it is for business heads and lower down to figure out. Generate and accelerate commercialization from customer insight. If you are not with your customer, you will lose. And I'm not talking about your distributors, because the research on this one is pretty clear as well. Disaggregation, disintermediation, the old industrial stack is gone. Companies that we see, there is a reason. Nagaraju, Waliji, and I were in a car, and we started talking about the average tenure of CEOs. And the global average for Fortune 100 companies is, anyone have a guess? 5 to 6 years? Okay, I got one. Huh? 3 years. What else? Anyone want to go higher? Yes? 2 years? All right. It's 2.5. It's 2.5. Think about that, 2.5. So that's one of the reasons why strategy has to evolve so fast, right? Because if you're going to get turned over after 2.5 years, odds are you have to either turn around something or grow something. And by the way, if you want to turn around something, I think Cynthia, even though she sits on boards, is still available, right?
One example there, Vishal?
Yeah.
So many years ago, Lego had been struggling because there was an influx of the new technology, the video games that they were taking over the market. So traditional toys were disappearing in terms of interest. Interest was declining. And most manufacturers responded in a very predictable, classic business school market research way. Well, let's study the toys more carefully. Let's look at the ingredients of how to make that electronic device faster. How do we put more chips in, add more buttons, make it sexier for kids, right? Electronics. And Lego said that's not what we have to do. We actually have to just see what it is kids do. How do kids play? And they went in and observed what kids do, how they play, the way they do things, the way their imagination comes to life. And we all remember when we were children, there's a stick on the ground and the stick can do anything. And in effect, Lego returned to that. They recognized what kids were looking for, and it helped them reinvent the way they could create the blocks to still be very tactile, very involving, engaging, non-technology based solutions, and their growth accelerated because they went to the kids, they went to the customers.
Last one, context is king. So companies must gain insight, not only rely on service. So a lot of times, people think that, and we even saw those in the reflections, which by the way are fantastic. So John and I, when we were walking around back there, we were reading each of those comments in terms of what is your insight for the day. And people assume it's like a pendulum, right? So we now talk about data analytics. So we're going to go, oh, we just should go all about data analytics, and we'll get rid of our gut intuition. Our gut intuition is now bad. Cynthia had a really interesting way of framing it. She talked about judgment. So there's thick data and there's thin data, right? People know those concepts? Okay. So thick data, the whole belief around AI, algorithms, data analytics, is that we have this world with a whole lot of data, thick data, that we need to make sense of. So we have these incredible people who can run analytics against it. We can have Watson doing those things for us. But the problem with data analytics, and we were doing this with Cognizant, John, I think in London and New York, in one of our keynotes. The problem with the thick data is, how do you know you're asking the right question? So oftentimes we ask the question because we want a confirmation bias, right? A bias that basically supports our way of thinking, our inputs, our suggestion, or our option because we think it's right. So thick data by itself is not enough. Thin data is exactly what John talks about. And that is understanding how external stakeholders are doing, how internal stakeholders are doing, how the customer is doing. In the cases of distributors, that's also important. But you need to have the insight from the thin data and the thick data and put it together. Notice I'm not using the word gut. I still don't believe in gut. I believe in experience, but I also know that people, if we think that we are fallible, there's no one that is infallible. So we all have our own biases, our own things that trip us up. So that's what we mean by context is king. And you must have the self-awareness to realize, am I getting all the data that I need out of this? So if it's just the old ways and old systems, I had a chance to interview 75 of the top 80 leaders at 3M, including their whole C-suite. So 3M's an amazing company, right? So they have 103,000 patents, right? So they sit there in Minnesota, really brilliant people. They'll take any adhesive and, well, we're going to use Post-it notes later, right? The problem is they had all of this process, very lean. They had all of this IP, unique IP, huge patent cliffs of patents going for it, that they couldn't use because they weren't able to marry the two together. And so they created a playbook, and we talked about what it means to be a leader. And more than anything else, there was not an issue around technical competency. It was whether or not they understood the world the way that it was changing. Now, I'm going to ask another question. On the bottom is your reason for existence, right? It's the why. Why are we here? That vision that Cynthia talked about 128 years ago? 128? 125? We'll still count a jet lag, right? So 125 years, that's your why. And that's why the promoters are so important. Everything on the top. Now raise your hand if you think that you are responsible for what's on the top. And the top is the reason for sustainability and the ability to increase influence. Who thinks they're responsible for that? One, Bajoria, Waliji, yeah? About another 4 there? Nagaraja? It's everybody else. That's the fundamental problem. It is not the 6 or 7 on the promoter side. It's everybody else's responsibility. Because if you can't get those 7 trade-offs, and by the way, these are not discrete. There isn't a right answer. There isn't, oh, if we just do this. There's always a trade-off. And that's why you're leaders, because you have this judgment. That's your role. John?
Perfect. I have nothing to add.
All right. We're going to share this slide. Would that be helpful? Yeah? I know you're taking pictures. And we'll build on it a little bit later. All right. We're going to do something slightly different. John, can I borrow you for 2 seconds?
So I'm a guinea pig?
Yeah, you're a guinea pig.
Okay.
All right. John, by the way, did everyone see John dancing yesterday? I tried to teach him some of the Bhangra moves. Yeah?
Why did you raise your hand so excitedly when you said that? Yes.
Well, because he's the one who brought you up there.
That's right, yeah.
So, all right, John, I need you to stand right here.
Okay.
Okay. That's good.
Good. Okay.
All right. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to change gears. So we've been talking a lot, and that's just not as much fun. The best part about our job is actually spending time having you do stuff, right? So the first thing I need you to do is if you have a tie, I need you to take it off. Take off the tie.
Me too?
Yeah, take off the tie. But just watch the, yeah, Mike, okay, good.
Okay.
Take off the tie.
I like this already.
Yeah. If you want, you can also take off a blazer because we're going to be moving around in a second. That's up to you. I know some people feel like it's a security blanket. Don't take any more off.
Right. This is it. This is the end of my clothing.
This is it, yeah? Put it around your table, that's fine, yeah? It's okay. No one's going to judge. You won't take pictures of them. It's okay. It's fine. I'm joking, he will, but it's okay. Now, who has a cell phone? And John and I have been walking around, so we've been seeing the people who've had the cell phone down here. Anyways, who has a cell phone? Raise it up in the air. Okay, raise it up, very good. I see some of the screens already, people have done this. On your tables, Dinky, can you show them? Perfect. can you show them that slide? Or that, yes.
The 10th.
Thank you, Bharatji. So you're going to go on to this site. Now join me, nowjoin.me, yeah, /14355. Oh, sorry, 14335. Thank you, Dinky. Yeah? And once you've done that, you should see an orange screen that looks like this. So once you do that, perfect. Just show it so I can see it. That's good. It's good. That's one whole table back there that did it. Excellent. Good, good. Good. If you're having troubles, we have Dinky who can help you. Yeah? Dinky. And then Kim. Kim, can you help the gentleman right there? Yeah?
I'm in.
You're in? That's good, John. Yeah? Anyone else have issues? Raise your hand. One more. Okay, Dinky's going to come there.
I'll wander through.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. What's it say?
And this makes my life easier. Thank you.
So just type in now.
We have 46 people logged in. We should have close to 80.
Just nowjoin.me. Or it says nowjoin.me/.
Oh, we're up to 50. Oh, it's accelerating now.
Oh, it should be spelled join.
53.
You got it.
And you should be using
Get in?
either Chrome or Safari.
That's it? You got it?
Connection is there.
So
Connection is
just
there.
enter in now
Where's your
join.
Safari? There it is. Yeah.
No, not at 4335. Just join me /. That's it. Now press enter. /. There you go. Now enter. Go. Go ahead and redo. Just refresh. No, it needs to be just like that. Just like you see there. Nowjoin.me
It's going there. Just give it 1
/. So
second.
there's no
I'm just putting your name
www.
and
It's
you're
just
good.
nowjoin.me /.
We're good? Good. Yeah, I saw.
And no, don't put the 14335 after.
We're up to 62. This is good.
Take that away. The 14335. Take it away.
Oh, you
Now
got
hit
it. Thank you,
return.
Anshman.
Yeah. Oh, you got to put the / back in. You got rid of the /. Just like you see up on the screen.
Yeah, correct. You're good, good. Yeah?
And are you using?
You guys are good?
Are you
Excellent. Good.
Chrome?
Excellent. Good. Yeah, that's exactly where you should be. Yeah, the first test is whether or not you put your name in correctly. That's good, Rajesh.
/.
Yeah,
Okay. And hit return.
perfect.
/ disappeared again. Now join.me /return. There, it was just there.
No, I think this is Fairmount is overloaded. Fairmount as a hotel is overloaded. So I'm trying to
This browser's Chrome, isn't it? This is Chrome, isn't it? The browser. There you go. Okay.
Thank you.
Just refresh it. That's fine. If it says loading doesn't work, it's fine because I haven't started the simulation. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Now join.me/return.
No, I
There,
think,
it was just there.
no, I think this is Fairmount is overloaded. Fairmount as a hotel is overloaded. So I'm trying to
This browser's Chrome, isn't it? This is Chrome, isn't it? The browser. There you go. Okay.
Thank you.
Just refresh it. That's fine. If it says loading doesn't work, it's fine because I haven't started the simulation. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Wi-Fi is overloaded. So if you can do this off, you don't need to be on Wi-Fi. You can do it off your normal data.
I think one or two guys are showing that
Yeah, I saw
you've
that.
reached the limit of number of devices that can be connected.
Okay.
Should I had a log on? Should I log off or something? That's fine.
Yeah, we can still go up to 100.
So I think
Yeah.
you can.
come like this.
I patience. Patient.
Yeah. Yeah.
आपको वो refresh कर दो.
Refresh karo. Yeah. All right. So, really quickly, just raise your hand if you are not connected yet. And we have students that can help as well, it looks like. Thank you for circulating through. We're at 86, 87, that's good. Yeah, that's a much better number, isn't it? So this is what's going to happen. This is really important. The last couple of people that are still struggling, put your hand up. We'll have either the students, John, do that. Dinky, where's Dinky?
We're here.
If after about a minute they can't resolve it, just give them the paper form. Yeah? Okay. We do have a very analog backup that we're not trying to use because, let's be honest, digital is the way we should go. All right, so raise your hand if it's working for you. All right, this is very good. What's really important is that these time prompts, once they start, we cannot stop. Okay? So, we're going to actually have to be very concise. We're going to have to be very organized in our thoughts. And truly concise. When John and I are talking about concise. Yeah. So design thinking. Who's heard the term before? Design thinking? Okay. So there's a company called IDEO, right? Started by the Kelly brothers. So IDEO, so if you look at your iPhone, if you have an iPhone, they're the ones who actually created the design side of it. They look at what does it mean to be functional about the world that we live in. Instead of it being a bunch of engineers in a plant deciding what the world should look like, they approach it from the aspect of the user. How do they experience what's going on? So what we're going to do is we're going to go through a quick design thinking process. It should only be 90 minutes. John and I are going to be monitoring this. And we're gonna give you a crash course on what makes really good design people. By the way, we know, who read the, I see him already, the incredible poem yesterday? I know we have creatives that are here. I think you had about 200 or so poems that you were talking about. Yeah. I don't know. I think maybe it's because there isn't the liquid lubrication. The hand didn't go up very high back there. We'll get some Black Label in a second. I know you have creative people. The people who are singing as well. So
That's right.
John and I and Dinky have a lot of hope for you. So, creativity is this wonderful, powerful force, but it's hard for us to tap into. But just like most things, it's a muscle memory. If you say, oh, I'm only going to be creative on a Monday at 3 o'clock, not going to happen. It's how do we constantly reinforce what that muscle looks like. So we're going to practice. John and I aren't going to have a lot of input. Dinky's not going to have a lot of input. We did do an introduction of Dinky, didn't we, John, earlier?
Not really formally. It'd be kind of nice to do that.
So Dinky is a program director, and in reality, she keeps John and I sane, right? None of this would have happened without Dinky. So if you can just give her a round of applause, right? Dinky is also the one who's been working with Vanita, with Cynthia, Manju, Bill, and others. So thank you, Dinky and Kim. So let's get into creativity. And if for whatever reason your phone starts acting up, now join.me/1433.5 is always on the screen. That's one hint. And the second is always start by just refreshing your browser. 9 times out of 10, that will solve the issue. All right? Okay, good. So, there are essentially 3 major parts to design thinking. There's inspiration, then there's imagining, and then there is the actual implementing those ideas. By the end of these 90 minutes, probably getting closer to about 85 minutes, we're going to have you have these 6 skills. This is design thinking on steroids. It's the easiest way to do it. So let's get into it. What is one idea you wish you could implement tomorrow? Now, before you start typing and before I move on to the next screen, I'm going to tell you exactly what parameters are. 1, this idea is something that you can either implement at the group level at JK or in your business. 2, this idea has to be an idea that is going to lead to top line growth. So if you give me a cost optimization, we will probably ask you to rethink about that, okay? Any questions? 2 parameters. Implementable either at JK Group or in your business unit. And the second parameter is it has to be about growth. Good? Excellent. Now, everyone, make sure your phones are on, right? They're not on WhatsApp. They're on the right screen. It should still look orangish. Yeah, orangish, yes. Every time we do this, your phone is your guide. So, right now, it should probably look something like high fives going on. You have 2 minutes. Your screen should look like this. You put in your idea into your phone. Let it think about it for a second, and then you hit submit. Screen looks like this. I should have asked you, Sanjeev, before I took your phone. My apologies. Yeah?
How's everybody doing, okay?
Yeah? Good? Good? seconds, 15 seconds.
Yes.
That's good. I'll get to it in a second. Excellent. Time is up. So who thinks you can either put your finger up like this, a thumbs up. I used to love thumbs up as a kid when I used to come to India. It's hard to find thumbs up these days. I used to love thumbs up and gold spot and limca. So thumbs up if you think your idea is really good, or thumbs down if you think that it needs a little bit more work. All right? On 3, either you put a thumbs up or a thumbs down, okay? 1, and please don't look around, because I see some people already starting to look around. You're like, oh no, it's okay, we're gonna work on this. Thumbs up or thumbs down if you think your idea is good. 1, 2, 3. Okay. You always think your idea is good, John. All right. Good. So, in this section, we're going to work on a reflex called inspiring new thinking. And so, oftentimes, what holds us back from inspiring new great design ideas is we don't ask the right question. So what does a brilliant question look like? So I'm sure this has never happened in this organization or in a previous organization, but oftentimes people really fall in love with the solution without truly understanding what the problem is. So what we're going to focus on is spending a little bit of time thinking about the problem. And when we think about the problem, there is a tried and true way of doing this.
Often, people will fall in love with their first idea. Unfortunately, they focus on it at the exclusion of other ideas that may have even greater potential. As a creative thinker, however, you will convert early ideas into great questions that open up many possibilities. First, decide who is the user or group your idea benefits. Next, what is the specific benefit or behavior your idea is focused on achieving? Then, craft your question, starting with 3 magic words. How might we?
Hi, how's it going? Good. So my idea is to create an online dashboard for company data. So I guess my question is, how might we create the best dashboard ever?
Okay, sounds great, but why don't we try following the prompts? So, who is the user?
Well, this is for director level folks in my company.
Okay, and what's the key benefit or behavior for those directors?
Well, I'd want them to have access to information they need to make better decisions.
Okay, so what's your question?
How might we help directors access the information they need to make better decisions? I can already think of ways besides this dashboard that we could do this.
Opening up possibilities is that easy.
3 magic words, how might we? So, what we're going to do is we're going to practice. So, I love reading books. It's one of the probably only advantages of flying so much, is you get to kind of read a lot of stuff. So we're going to talk about online business book club because let's be honest, regular print doesn't really work anymore. So what I want you to do is get your phones out. Everyone got them out? Excellent. Make sure the screen is on. You can hit refresh if you want. We're going to give you'll see a series of prompts, and you have to pick which idea of the 3 you think best captures that user, that experience of what you're trying to achieve. Make sense? All right. And you have 30 seconds. "15 seconds, and we only have 3 people who have answered. Well, we're up to 6. 12. 5 seconds. All right. got up to 80. That's okay, 81. So this is the data. So 21% of you thought, how might we build the best online business book club? John, what's wrong with that statement?
It's overly broad.
It's overly
Broad.
broad, right? Absolutely. It's overly broad. It actually isn't thinking about what is the experience. It just has the qualifier of best and online book club. Number 3, how might we monetize people's love of business books? The problem with this one is it's coming from a place of how we might monetize. And rule number 1 was, are you thinking about the user? Right? We often do this, by the way. We think about how we might do this instead of thinking about what is the customer or what is the consumer trying to achieve. Now, the sweet spot was 52% of you. If you did this, pat yourselves on the back. How might we help businesses, our business book readers, better connect with one another? 2 pieces that work well here. 1, it's talking about the user experience pretty clearly. It's about what connection looks like. And 2, it's talking more specifically on what you're trying to achieve. All right? I see some quizzical looks. That's okay, we're going to practice a little bit more. This is how you're going to pair up.
Your mobile device will assist you throughout this workshop. First, you will be directed to find a partner. When you have a partner, click to advance and follow the instructions. Take turns in your conversation. Help your partner when it is their turn to share or problem solve. Are you ready?
So, once again, phone will help you solve everything. It's kind of wonderful, isn't that? You're going to see 2 colors that come up, blue or yellow. You need to find someone. If you're a blue, find a blue. If you're a yellow, find a yellow. Not very complicated. It's a binary. So, we're going to have 6 minutes where you're going to share, and you're going to help craft this how might we question. Do not forget about the user, be empathetic, and do not forget about the imagined benefit or behavior you're trying to achieve. That's all I want you to do. All right. Phones up, phones ready. Let me see them. They're looking good. Now, by the way, this means that you're going to have to get up. So you might as well stand right now. You can stand up because you're going to have to go find people. You have 6 minutes. We're not going to stop, by the way. So if you are by yourself, you can't do this exercise. You need somebody else with you. John is over here. Dinky, where are you? Unfortunately, Dinky is very short. I see her. Dinky, why don't you come a little bit closer? You can help them out. And the students, are you still in here? Raise your hands. Ah, there you are. Why don't you spread out as well? And the students, help them figure out blues and yellows. Good? Thank you, guys. All right, here we go. 6 minutes. Find the color. Okay. I know this was a very confident group. By the way, stay with your partners. Stay with your partners. Please sit down. I mean, We're all part of the same JK family. So, yeah, you can stay there, just stay there. Okay, good. All right. I need everyone's attention, including that group over there. Thank you. Excellent. Was that easy? Yeah? Yeah, okay. Mixed responses. I heard, yeah, that was good, it was easy. From my observation, and John, I don't know about you, and Dinky, it took about 30 seconds, even after people got paired up, and then it got louder and louder, which is always a good sign. All right. So, congratulations. You've done the first important reflex, which is brilliant questions. Now here's the thing. The more you do it, the better you get at it. Simple enough, muscle memory. We're going to move on to the second reflex. And that is, average needs often inspire average solutions. What we mean by that is we always look at the middle part and say, what is the average experience someone that goes through? And then we build everything else around it. We're all guilty of that. What we're going to do is do something slightly different, something we probably don't do as much as we should, and that is thinking about extreme users.
Usually, businesses try to discover the needs of average users. However, as creative thinkers in search of inspiration, we'll focus on outliers, or extreme users. Ultra-passionate or experienced users have refined needs that allow us to see the future, and novice or ambivalent users help us identify barriers and challenges. An example: who might inspire new thinking about kitchen tools? Some creative thinkers looked at this challenge and observed both professional chefs and children as extreme users. By observing children in the kitchen, they were able to see the difficulties caused by poor design, difficulties that the average user accommodates. A child trying to slice a pizza struggles to get the leverage on the handle of the cutter. This challenge inspired a new design that works better for us all. To identify extreme users, creative thinkers ask, who is ultra-passionate or experienced with a topic? Or, who has special or refined needs? At the other end of the spectrum, creative thinkers ask, who is ambivalent, inexperienced, or unfamiliar with the topic? Do you know who your extreme users are?
So, I don't recommend giving children, really small children, lots of sharp objects, like that kitchen example. But this is what we're going to do. We're going to practice again. Very simple. I want you to think about getting ready to identify extreme users for laundry. For laundry. All right? Extreme users. When you go through these prompts in a second, all your phones are ready? All right, good. Get your phones ready. When you go through these prompts, you can only put in one response. But once you've put in your response, you'll get to see what other people are thinking are extreme users. I'll read out some of them on the app as I see them as well. All right, ready? Raise your hand if you're ready. I've only lost 20%. That's good, John.
So far, so good, yeah.
The other 10% came in, 20% came in. All right, here we go. So we have hotel, we have ascetic monk, that was a good one. We have food industry, frequent traveler, housekeepers, handicapped, the R&D team of a detergent manufacturing company, that's a very good one. Hotels. All right. Who had the R&D at a detergent factory? One of you had it. It came up on the screen. Excellent, yeah? I think maybe because we're staying in a hotel, we're feeling really good about that, right? So this is what we're going to do. Are you still with your partners? I hope so. It's close enough. That's good. I want you to get back with your partners. You can stand up again. Come on. We'll move around. This is why we don't need the ties. Jackets can be lost as well. Never too late. All right. I'll give you a couple of seconds to wrap up there. Remember, in every session, we're going to practice on an example that we made up. But then you, in these timed rounds, have to work on your topic. So for instance, right now, when we're talking about extreme users, right now, as we were talking about extreme users, it shouldn't have been about laundry. It should have been about the question that you originally wrote. How might we blank for your user, and then the behavior that you want. All we're doing is we're just building on top of that question. So now we have the question, we've identified extreme users. All right? So 85 out of 90, that's good. So congratulations. The hardest part is kind of done. I'm just joking, they're all equally weighted. You now have the extremes tool. It should be on your phone. So that was the inspire side. Now we kind of get into the solution, where we have to imagine things that are different. We have to imagine things that, frankly, may feel uncomfortable for us. So Linus Pauling, two-time Nobel Prize winner, he had this great quote. It's from roughly 1930s or so. He goes, "The best way to have a good idea is to have a lot of ideas." So if you think that you somehow, there's just this, I don't know, maybe you were doing some kind of crazy thought and all of a sudden you have this incredible insight, that's a different story. I'd like to know how you did that. This is a situation where in your business, you have to generate ideas. And especially leaders in organizations, your role is to be strategic. How do you create the right type of atmosphere that allows for all of these ideas to happen? So this is what we're going to do.
In a moment, you'll partner up to stretch your thinking about possible solutions to your how might we challenges. There are some basic behaviors which help you succeed with idea stretching, and there are some behaviors that don't.
Hi.
Hi!
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. My challenge is how might we help my colleagues stay more focused in a meeting?
Okay, the prompt says to come up with 3 easy ideas.
Okay. How about we put a bowl in the middle of the table, and at the start of the meetings we have to put our phones in it?
I don't think my colleagues would go for that. I know I wouldn't.
Defer judgment. There will be plenty of time for judging ideas later.
Yes, and there could be a fun penalty for the first person's phone who rings or buzzes.
Yes!
Find ways to build on the ideas of others.
What if we created a team charter at the beginning of the meeting where we all agree to certain behaviors? We could include behaviors that are related to ensuring focus, and behaviors related to making sure that everybody gets heard. And one of the things that will make this work is if everybody has buy-in and perhaps gets to contribute to it. So we can have a separate meeting before the meeting.
State an idea and move on. Over-explanations take time away from other potential ideas.
What if we had a team charter where everybody agrees on proper meeting behaviors?
Yes, and we could maybe have a team check-in, say, every 15 minutes to ensure that we're all acting to those behaviors.
Great idea.
Go for quantity. Keep going for one idea after the next. So follow these practices, and you'll discover more creative ideas. Are you ready?
John, I'm going to bring you in on this one as well. So, a couple of traps that people fall into. The first one you saw there, which is do not judge, do not interpret. This isn't a line manager conversation. This is a conversation where you're trying to build as many ideas as possible. So if Dinky, the students, or John see us seeing people who are shutting down ideas, we're going to redirect you to say, create more of them. Second, and this is an important one from our observations, and that is be as concise as possible. So you shouldn't have 3 or 4 or 10 sentences that is an idea. That's not. You're almost getting to an essay. Right?
Vishal, how about 4-part ideas with 6 subtexts below
No,
that? Okay.
that's a bad idea, John.
Okay.
Yeah?
Just checking.
I've seen his app. That's what's coming out. No. It should only be 1 sentence. It could only be a couple of words. We're cool with that. All right? Do you want to talk? I think your mic is off. You want to talk a little bit about yes and on building?
Yes, and. So it's a very simple concept. There is a choice. There are 2 ways to look at how we generate ideas. One is to, as Vishal was saying, you generate an idea and you could shut it down quickly by saying no, right? Or judging it. But the reality of it is to expand an idea is what you saw in the second part of the video where the respondent said yes, and because it builds, it's affirmation, it's positive, it's encouraging, and it says to that person, I like that idea, and let's add to it. As opposed to saying, but. If you say but, what have you done? You've just sucked the motivation and the morale out of people. Because whatever follows but is bad. But, did you think about this? But. So don't do that. It's yes, and that helps you build on the ideas.
Thank you, John. Once again, just to warm up, in a second, you're going to see your screen, so get your phones out, make sure they're going all right, and you're going to list as many possible uses for a paperclip. As many possible uses for a paperclip. You should get at least one of those, right, to clip papers. But I'll give you that one. But there should be as many as possible. The record that Dinky, John, and I have seen on this one is 11, right? 11 in 30 seconds. We have extreme users back there that are students. They may be able to type that fast, but I think it's hard for other people. All right, ready? 30 seconds. All right, 30 seconds. How many people had more than 1? All right. How many people had more than 2? Getting there. How many people had more than 3? All right. More than 4? More than 5? 5. Okay, we have 2 people. More than 6? Was that a 5.5? I saw the hint. No. Oh, sorry. How many had 6? All right. Congratulations. 6. Very good. I think I only got to 4.
Vishal, can we just ask them who had the most extreme idea?
Sure. Who had the most extreme idea?
Volunteer, please. Okay.
For the SIM card, yeah? That's a good one. Yeah? Folding clothes, huh? Yep. Yeah, go ahead. Say that louder. Oh, hanging clothes, right?
Pin,
clothespin,
nosepin. Okay. All at the same time?
All at the same time. So,
Okay.
It's a very big
It's a
paperclip.
big, yeah.
That's an extreme paperclip, John. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So no, we've gotten that. We've gotten a lot of hanging clothes, shirts, all of that. We got that. Another extreme example, a different example. Toothpick, yeah?
Cleaning your ear was
Cleaning
one.
your ears.
Wow. And then you need a doctor right afterwards.
Yeah. Yes, and you will need a doctor. Okay, yes?
Electrical jumper wire.
Oh, that's a good one. Hit somebody, electrical jumper wire, paper toys, huh? Fuse wire. Anybody else? Yeah? Hairpin. Hairpin. Do you often use it as a hairpin? No, it's, no. Scratching your back. Hopefully it's a long one, huh? Okay, very good. So now what we're going to do, we've practiced a little bit with a random idea with the paper clip. We're going to move it and make it back about you. So, get your phone ready, or get your phones ready. You're going to grab a marker, get a sticky pad, a post-it note from our wonderful friends at 3M.
Yeah, I think so.
So grab a marker, grab a sticky pad, or a couple of them, a couple of notes. Every time you hear a ping, follow the instructions at the front of the room. That would be me up here, or John, if he's circulating. So you should have a sticky pad, and you should have, I would probably get more than one. Everyone have a marker, something to write with? Good. Raise your hand if you don't have a marker and a post-it note so we can get them to you. Okay. Yeah, just for... And then the second table left there. Thanks. Okay, good. We look ready. I see someone's got the pen already ready to go. Okay, so this activity, we're going to do 2 rounds of brainstorming. 2 rounds of brainstorming. One person's going to go, and we're going to brainstorm on their idea, and then we'll flip around. Follow the prompts. 4 minutes. Give me 1 second. You should either see purple, right? Or what's the other color? Green? Yellow. Yellow. Find a partner. In a second. So, a couple of observations. We're not going to, John and I and Dinker aren't going to take volunteers on this one. Couple of observations. Everyone's attention, because people weren't doing it correctly.
Okay, here we go.
Come. Shh. So everyone, hey, I need everyone's attention. Because John, Dinky, and I noticed a couple of things. We noticed a couple of things. One, there were many people who just got their idea and they started brainstorming a bunch of ideas by themselves, even though their partner was next to them. There's no need to have a partner if you're going to do it yourself. Make sense? Usually when you have a partner, listen, if I did that with my wife, I would be in some serious trouble, right? If I said, hey, listen, I'm just going to sit over here, let's not, even though I've been traveling, I haven't seen you, let's not have a conversation. So the first thing you should be doing is you're going to take one person at a time. Yeah? This is important. Because John and I would not be giving you as much prompts if we thought it was going exactly the way it should. All right? So the first thing is you have a partner there for a reason. So focus on one set of issues and then move on to the other person's. That way there's actually a conversation, right? And this is about empathy. It's hard to be empathetic if you are an N of 1. It's about the larger group that's there. Second, 2 or 3 in the course of 4 minutes, that's not very good. We need to get a lot more ideas out on the paper, right? So for instance, if you're able to generate 4 to 6 ideas in 30 seconds on a paper clip that isn't your own idea, you should be able to generate probably, I don't know, John, 15 plus ideas.
I'd say 30, but
Take
that's
30.
me.
So 3M, they'll be happy. Burn through Post-it notes. It's okay, right? As many ideas as possible. I saw some really good examples around here where people were having the right conversation. So we're ready for round number 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to stay with your partner. And we're going, you can get back with your partner. Your purple or yellow partner. Okay. All right. John and I have a lot of optimism right now.
Feeling it. I feel like taking risks.
Yeah. Maybe we need a glass of wine, John. Now you're going to switch to your partner's brilliant question. If you did not work with your partner before, you're going to split it. You're going to spend 2 minutes working on my questions, and then I would then spend the other 2 minutes in conversation as well with John working on his question. Make sense? All right, 4 minutes, here we go. John.
Yes.
How do you think they did?
Vishal, I have optimism. So there was a lot more momentum that round. You were connecting and doing more ideas, but I noticed a couple of things. Very focused on being precise, getting the right answer. There is no right answer. It's just generating ideas. Don't worry about being perfect. Don't worry about being perfect. But otherwise, good momentum on that round, more people generating more ideas. We should find out, did anybody get up to like 60 or 70 ideas?
All right, let's do it this way. How many people generated 5 ideas? That's good.
That's better than before.
That's good. Who generated more than 6 ideas? Good.
Good.
More than 7?
Oh, yeah.
More than 8?
Wow.
More than 9? 10? 11? 12? 13? 14? 15? 16? By the way, that's really good because it was 17, 18, 19. I feel like a really bad auctioneer. Huh? It's like a reverse Dutch auction going on. It's terrible, John. 20, 19. 19 is very good. So give yourselves a round of applause. That was actually really good. That was a massive improvement. So, I can now award you that skill. You should see the icon. You have the idea stretching tool. So we've talked about brilliant questions. We've talked about extreme users. And now we have idea stretching. Now, you can generate all the ideas, including 19 of them, 16 of them, 5 great ones, 8 great ones. But the key thing here is that you have to explore the potential rather than the proven. To John's point, this isn't about precision. This is about generating what is possible. Because the odds are your businesses and the external environment are not going to operate in a very linear, static CAGR, right? That world doesn't exist anymore. So, as we explore the potential rather than the proven, we're going to start thinking about what are the choices we're going to make. And John and I are going to be a little bit more provocative around what we're expecting of you, because this is going very well. So too often, we choose the option that is the easiest and the safest, because we've seen it work elsewhere. So this is a recency bias. If you study decision sciences and biases, what worked in the past is what we should do going forward, because we know that it is proven to be true. I'm sure we've all fallen into this. What we're going to ask you to do is something slightly different. You have all of these ideas, great ideas, smart people working on this. We're going to want you to stretch yourselves. Look for the option, and you may not know the path forward. What we're going to ask you to do is look for what is novel, one that meets a real user need, and that addresses the brilliant question. This is a safe space, right? No one's holding you accountable on your P&L for implementing this idea. What we're going to ask you to do is figure out what you think is the most innovative, provocative, right? Something that you're like, man, I have no idea how we're going to do it, but we're going to figure it out. So, we have an activity coming up, 3 minutes, but first, I want you, just by yourselves, figure out which idea you're going to pick from your list. No partners, just yourself. Not safe, novel. So we got really excited because in the back corner, drinking coffee, which he should, is Scott Rockhart. Who's exactly. So this is good. You've identified this wonderful idea selection tool, but we're going to try to have conversations with each other again. It's probably a good thing. So what we're going to need is take your phones out again. And I want you, just for the person who's right next to you, 30 seconds. I'm not going to put it on a timer. Explain to them which idea you chose and why. Which idea and why. Be concise. You can pair up with Barachi, it's fine, yeah? Just tell them which idea and why. 30 seconds. Bless you. All right, let's go take a seat. We're going to get into the last habit, which is implementing new ideas. The last habit. All right, we can take our seats. Very good. And this is the one that Dinky John and I have been most looking forward to. So, David Kelly, one of the Kelly brothers, started IDEO. Oftentimes, you have to fail early to succeed sooner. I know Vinita talked about also learning from successes. You have to do both. When Cynthia was talking about options, this is part of it. You rather fail early when there isn't that much capital, or any capital, if it's just an idea, right? You rather fail early and then learn from it, and either decide to try again, maybe go to an adjacency, or just exit it completely. What we're going to do is we're going to build a skill now around prototyping. Prototyping does not have to be overly engineered, right? We're going to make very lo-fi prototypes. Very lo-fi prototypes.
Should I put my calculator away?
No, no calculator needed, John.
All right, okay.
Normally, when people have an idea they think has some potential, they quickly socialize it and then start planning and building the launch-ready version. Planning for the perfect idea sets them up for limited exploration, and too often results in expensive failures. Instead, creative thinkers build to think. The process of creating a representation or aspect of our idea forces us to evolve our thinking around it quickly. This makes better ideas come to life faster, creating more opportunity for user feedback. In a moment, you'll head to the prototyping station that best fits your idea and just start making. A physical prototype explores the form of the idea users would interact with. A digital interface explores how users would navigate the digital experience. A storyboard explores how users would experience your idea in their journey through it. Just go for it. Pictures make your ideas concrete and communicate far more than just a few words. Anyone can and should prototype like this. The secret is to just start making. Build to think.
So you get to experiment back there. So we have done something a little different. So we have 3 tables set up there, and we have Dinky, Kim that are back there. So the first one, if you decide that the idea that you chose, you want to create a physical prototype of it. Dinky, can you go to the physical prototype station? There you go.
That's right here. Right here.
Okay. You see it? Raise your hands.
Middle table.
Physical prototype. If you decide that, you know what, the solution that makes the most sense is a digital solution, for instance, then you would, very graceful, John, you would go over to the digital prototyping station. It's the digital prototyping station. Excellent, John. And then the last one is if you want to think about it as a product, a services station, it would be right over there by Scott Rockhart and Kim. Fantastic. Very good display. Everyone clear on the prototyping stations? Let me explain what we will have at the end of this. In a second, we're going to give you some time, and you're going to build what you think might solve the solution. We're not looking for a 100% perfect solution. Even if it's 5 or 10%, we're cool with that. So don't let the certainty drivers take over. So we have physical is where? There we go. Digital, thank you, John. And then services right over there. You have 8 minutes. You can get your phone, have your phone up, ready to go. This is going to give you a prompt. Everyone ready? That wasn't very reassuring. Is everyone ready? All right, much better. 8 minutes. I like it. That might be my favorite one I've seen so far. Yeah, let me see this. You can take your flip charts with you. It's incredible art. You can even sign it if you want. Who knows, they might appreciate with time. I like it. Yeah, you can take pictures of it. Oh, I like that, Joxy. There's colors, there's pictures. This is fantastic. Another 30 seconds, John. How's that sound? 30 seconds?
30 seconds is good.
All right. So, how did that go? Yeah? So, a couple observations from John and me. John is around here somewhere.
I'm over here.
Thank you, John. Quick observations on how they did on the prototyping?
Well, first, what was great is many of you already broke the boundaries of the 3 tables at the back, which was good. That's innovation, right? You went past sort of the things that were given to you and invented some other tools that you could bring in to solve this. That's what we're looking for.
Excellent. What we're going to do is I've picked 3 people, 1 digital, and two that I think are awesome. I think all 3 of them are awesome, actually. If I said that I want you to present, can you come up to the stage? Come on, you can come up to the stage. Yeah? Bring the model with you, yeah? And then 1 in the back. Last one, no. The model right there, that's it. That's the one I want. We got a mic right there. No, I think we're good. I didn't see that one. We can bring you up. Let's bring you up. No. Just I haven't seen that one. It's fine. Yeah. Good. 1, 2. That's the one I wanted.
Another microphone here.
All right. We're gonna go digital.
Microphone.
First digital or first?
All right. We'll start over there. Let's start with you. Yeah.
With a burgeoning population and urban traffic jams and seeing the view much better, I thought that one should have an ability to fly like a bird. We should create wings which are very light-weighted, which are solar-powered, and we should have a propellant below the shoes. Once if we start flying, the wing should operate. Here we should have an headgear which different lenses so that we can see far view and better view of the world from the different places. And this will help us in moving from one place to other place, look to the world, manage ourselves into a better urban background. And as they are solar propelled panels, this is environmental friendly also. There are a lot of individual solutions. This could be a product of future which can help the humankind not only from the land transportation but also from the sky transportation. As a plant breeder, I have a difficulty to see the plants from the above. This also helps me so that I can fly above the plots and see what is good and what is best in the plot also. So someone can help me to extend this idea.
Okay, so we're not pitching it. We're just giving a brief update on that. We'll work on the capital business plan in a second.
This should have a artificial intelligence solution wherein it coincides my eyes. Wherever my eyes goes, I should move to there, because if birds will fly with their eyes on the ground, so I should have a artificial intelligence connected to it so that my wings will move as my eyes will also move. It is like in Avatar when they get connected to each other, the way in which.
It has a Neuralink that does it. Excellent, excellent. Give him a round of applause. Very good, very creative.
Wow. Hey, Vishal, I want that.
Huh?
I want that.
I could see that.
Yeah, I want that.
Yeah.
I want that.
I know. I
want you to know.
All right, let's do digital next, and then we're going to get over to these guys over here. Yep.
Yeah. So this is a digital idea. Actually, most of our businesses are sort of not growing as much as I think we should. And the key constraint which I feel is we don't understand our consumers or customers enough to get insights which can help us develop our products and services which are better than competition and which help us offer products and services which are more preferred by our customers and consumers so that we get better market share and better volumes and better throughputs. So actually this idea is not very novel, but it is novel in the manufacturing industry, wherein we don't sort of do enough of data mining and data analytics. So what my thought was, very clearly, if we could collaborate with stores like your Big Bazaar and many other stores, wherein also you can link up with e-commerce sites, wherein we can get data, not only about our various products, we get data of the consumers. We overlay that data with demographics, with various other SEC classifications, with parameters which are relevant to our categories, each of our categories. And then we come out with broad category of consumers or customers with whom we can actually engage and understand better what are their preferences and choices, and then sort of define their key decision-making parameters they look at in various products. They basically tell us as to what all they look for in those. So here we have seen that bell curve, the two extremes of the consumers. So we figure out what is the future looking like and what is the current impediment. So we analyze both, and then we basically list out what are the changes we need to do on our products and services so that we become a more preferred kind of service provider or a product provider, and hence our volumes and market shares goes up, and hence the top line goes up. So that's the broad thought process here.
Excellent. Round of applause.
Thanks. Thanks a lot.
That's good. Who wants to go first? Yeah. Yeah? Okay. All right. Here we go.
This is a very shabby model that I have made, so I'll concentrate more on the thought. This thought is very close to anybody who is there in cement, and this thought is of a prefabricated homes. Now what we realize is that there are two segments in homes. One is the segment which is the lowest one, that is the low cost housing, and the other segment which needs a fast house is the second house, the concept of second house that we have, that is the farmhouses and other things. Now in both the things, one thing is common, that they want a very early solution. They want a fast solution, they want a ready-made solution for getting the houses built. And the lower segment, that is the lower segment of house owners, they will give us the numbers, and the higher segment will give us the economies of doing this project. So the idea was to make different shapes and different sizes of prefab structures which we can develop at one location. Based on the model that we have, it is similar to what we do with timber. So the packed product reaches the site and it's in a knockdown situation and we start building it up. There was an addition of getting into the sphere of passing on the benefits of which are the things which are difficult for a house owner. So at a lower spectrum, we kept that we can provide the solution for toilets. And for the higher spectrum, I wanted to show that we can go in for a ready-made pool. So it is a swimming pool which is almost on a prefab situation where we can just assemble the pieces, dig up a hole, and we have a pool which is ready. And since that would not be a permanent kind of a pool because people use it for a week or 10 days, it is available, the water seeps out, again you fill it up and you enjoy. So it's basically a prefab material, house, swimming pool, security guard room, and the toilets. That was the idea. Thank you.
Cool. Excellent. Yeah. I'll hold it.
Yeah, my idea was nothing novel. I have made a paper machine only. So because my idea was that I feel that in our country there will be a lot of scarcity in lower grammages of writing printing, because nowhere across the world there is any excess capacity of lower grammages writing printing. Even if the growth in India remains as low as 3 to 4%, then also there will be no material available, because present facilities which are there in India are all going to close down because of their very primitive technology. Most of them, many of them are already closing down. So within India, I envisage that this segment will have a higher selling price of at least 10% to 15% more than the higher grammage counterparts in a near future, within a couple of years. And it will be sudden, and the growth in price levels will be very high. So if we make some bring in some new technology and start investing in this, I think we will make money in a couple of years. That is my personal thought based on different things. And then after that, he had been kind enough to select it, so I was just making fun of making the paper machine with the mud and all. So I had no idea can't be put anything else, so I was doing this. Thank you.
JD, can you just grab this?
Yeah.
I don't know what table was that. Thanks, JD. So, a couple of observations really quickly on prototyping, because we're about to do feedback, which is the last tool. As you get more comfortable with design thinking, you'll take the qualifiers out. So it's okay that you played with Play-Doh. It's okay that you had an idea and then you just started getting creative. There are some amazing, on the side over here, I saw service maps. The more creative you get, the more you're able to visually show it, the easier it is. And then you start refining and figuring out what the business case looks like. So we are on to the last tool, and that is around feedback. So the world is often unkind to new creations. They need new friends. So this is, once again, not a line manager conversation. It isn't John and I having a conversation one-on-one on performance. We're going to show you how we're going to give feedback, and then we're going to practice.
When sharing prototypes with people early on, the objective isn't to sell it. Rather, creative thinkers want to invite feedback that will make their ideas even better. And when a fellow creative thinker is asked for feedback, she should be generative and meaningful. We suggest using a simple I like, I wonder format.
Hi.
Hi.
Why don't you go first?
Sure, I'd love your feedback. This is a device that lets people use their tablet while standing.
It looks kind of goofy.
Oh.
When giving feedback, start with 2 things you like about the idea.
I like that this lets your agents be field workers. I also like that it lets you stand and type. Lots of different businesses could make use of this.
This creates an encouraging environment and highlights the aspects of an idea that should continue to exist in future iterations. Next, share one question or thought you have, starting with, I wonder.
I wonder if you could make it even more appealing by making the straps retractable so that you could get them out of the way when you don't need them.
Hey, that's a great idea. Thanks.
We want to be constructive more than critical. That is, suggest how we'd make it better, rather than why it's broken. Now, who's ready for some feedback?
We're going to do this. You're not going to get up. Just someone who's right next to you. We're going to practice. So get your phones out again. Get your phones out. Refresh it. You're going to partner with someone. You're going to give 3 minutes of feedback, and then we'll do a second round. So remember, they're going to present their idea. You're going to give them feedback. You're going to say, I like, and what's the last question? I wonder. We don't need your interpretation. We don't need you to figure out 20 different ways that it might not work. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about what you like, and what I wonder. So 3 minutes, pick someone right next to you, and let's begin. Probably around roughly 40 or so. We're at 29 out of 81. This was just round 1. You're about to give your partner, you're about to switch roles. Hey, John. Yeah, really quickly. How do you think the group did?
So far, so good. What's been interesting is you really are putting yourselves in the position of asking those open-ended questions. I like, and I wonder. And you can see how it's generating a little bit more differentiation in how you're approaching this. I think it's really solid. Nice work.
All right. So you still have your phones out. Hopefully we have not hopefully we have not lost our phones. Once again, I like, and I would, as John just mentioned. Round 2. Look at your phone. If you gave feedback the first time, you should be now receiving feedback. Vice versa. 60 at 85. We're getting there. So, congratulations. On your screen, you should have 6 badges, right? Exactly. Good. You've gone through all of the reflexes that we need as individuals. What we're going to ask you to do next I'm just catching up right now, sorry. What we're going to actually do next is you should be seeing a prompt on your phones. You'll see a prompt that says, I would like to put in my email address or something to that effect. Every single one of you, we want you to put in your JK email address. And what's going to end up happening is all of your responses and all of the questions, all of the prompts are going to be emailed to you. If you took a picture of a prototype, that's also going to be emailed to you. Options that are out there become very, very small. If you don't imagine with stretching your ideas and selecting the most provocative ones, then we once again get smaller and smaller. And there's a term we often talk about, which is industry convergence. The reason why industries tend to converge so much is because people become so risk averse that they stop doing anything new and different, and then they either get an adjacency or a whole other disruption that ends up happening. Last one, implementing new ideas. Prototyping, part of it's just allowing yourself to become unfettered. Get out of your box and just think big. So, is it on the screen yet? It should be coming up. There it is. It looks like this. Enter your email address to immediately receive the Creative Habits Toolkit. Yeah? Let me know when you've done that. Yeah? Good. In terms of next steps, as you've been going through this process, we actually have an Excel spreadsheet output that has been collected. So John, Dinky, and I, probably Sunday night, today's Saturday, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Scott, we know Scott doesn't know what time zone it is right now. Sunday night, we will actually get all of the ideas that you had. And we're going to actually provide some feedback to you on things that you can make better. And one of the ideas that we have, that we've talked about, is what are some of the ones that you could start prototyping and maybe even potentially, if you make the business case, be able to implement. So we'll be doing that as our homework. Thank you for the time. JD, I'm going to turn it back over to you in terms of what are the next steps, which should be lunch. And then I'll exit stage right.
Vishal, thank you very much. So you have to prototype your lunch on your iPad. Do you have? Just kidding. Would you like to eat? Okay. We can do that, but first, doo-doo.
Can I have Santosh on stage for proposing a very brief vote of thanks?
A very good afternoon. I'll not stand very long between you and lunch. Respected Chairman, Directors, and all my dear colleagues gathered here. From myself and on behalf of the JK family, I would like to thank Vishal for this wonderful session, for keeping us on our toes and making learning really lively. He gave us ideas on how to create a sustainable organization, talking in decision velocity, working across boundaries, using tools for resolving unique problems faster, simultaneously and constantly transforming while protecting the core. This is an important fact which he mentioned. He also talked about context is the king and gaining insights into the customer's mind. The second major activity which we went through, and that was quite a learning, was how to make learning really fun. He talked about design thinking, where the sentence he started with, he said, creativity is a muscle memory. The more we exercise it, the stronger it becomes. Starting with how to frame questions properly, how to stretch the ideas by knowing the extreme users, how to make the right choices, how to build prototypes, implementing, and thereafter how to give the right suggestions. I would like to assure you that we will for sure use a lot of these tools and techniques in our daily lives and hopefully will improve. Thanks a lot once again. I forgot to mention, thank you also for translating to Cynthia some of our questions which she was not able to understand. Thank you.
May I request Anshuman Singhania to come on stage?